In 2006, we didn't just rename Pluto, we erased it. In a single vote, humanity stripped a world of its title and quietly pushed it to the edge of the solar system. For 76 years, it was the ninth planet. Then, almost overnight, it became small, insignificant, a frozen leftover drifting in darkness. We thought we knew what Pluto was. We were wrong. For decades, Pluto was nothing more than a blurry pixel at the edge of our telescopes, a distant, silent dot. Scientists imagined a dead rock, frozen solid from crust to core, a relic, a fossil of planetary formation. Then we sent a spacecraft. In 2006, the same year we demoted Pluto, NASA launched New Horizons. It would travel nearly 10 years, over 4 billion miles, racing through the abyss at more than 30,000 miles per hour. As it left Earth behind, the Sun began to shrink, past Jupiter, past Saturn, past Neptune. The bright, life-giving star slowly faded into just another point of light in an ocean of black. By the time New Horizons approached Pluto in 2015, sunlight was hundreds of times dimmer than on Earth. If you stood on Pluto at noon, the sky would not glow blue. It would be pitch black, a permanent twilight at minus 390 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the images arrived. Across the equator of this distant world was something impossible. A giant, perfectly shaped heart, stretching nearly 1,000 miles wide, bright, smooth, unscarred. The media called it cute. Scientists saw something else. That heart is a basin known as Sputnik Planitia, a vast depression filled not with rock, but with solid nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide. A glacier the size of a continent. But here's what shocked everyone. It has almost no impact craters. In the outer solar system, surfaces should be battered and ancient. Billions of years of collisions leave scars that never fade. But Pluto's heart was smooth, which means it is young. Something is erasing the damage. Beneath the frozen crust, Pluto still holds a trace of radioactive heat. It's faint, but out here, faint is enough. That tiny warmth rises upward, causing the nitrogen ice to slowly churn and convect, like a pot of thick, frozen lava. Over millions of years, the surface renews itself. Craters disappear. Impacts are swallowed. Nothing that lands there survives long enough to leave a scar. Pluto is not dead. It is active. And at the edges of this frozen sea, the landscape becomes even stranger. Mountains rise thousands of feet into the black sky. On Earth, mountains are made of rock. On Pluto, rock is irrelevant. At these extreme temperatures, ordinary water ice becomes as hard as steel. Those towering peaks, some over 10,000 feet high, are made entirely of solid water ice. And they don't just sit there, they float. Water ice is less dense than frozen nitrogen, so entire mountain blocks break away and drift slowly across Sputnik Planitia like massive icebergs. Imagine a mountain range the size of the Alps silently migrating across a white plain, a continent moving in complete darkness. And if you look closely at those peaks, you'll notice something unsettling. The snow is red. When faint ultraviolet light from the distant sun strikes methane ice on Pluto's surface, it triggers complex chemical reactions. These reactions create organic compounds called tholins, dark, reddish materials that settle like dust over the landscape. Over time, they stain the mountains and plains with a deep crimson hue. A frozen world with red snow. For years, scientists believed Pluto should have flipped over. The massive weight of Sputnik Planitia creates a gravitational imbalance. Physics suggests the planet should have reoriented itself long ago. But it didn't. The only explanation is something heavy beneath the surface acting as a counterweight. And that leads to a possibility once thought impossible: a subsurface ocean. Deep under miles of ice, pressure and residual heat may be keeping liquid water from freezing solid. An underground ocean, sealed beneath a crust of ice, existing in one of the coldest regions of the solar system. In the farthest reaches of sunlight, there may be liquid water. And wherever there is liquid water, one question follows. Could something survive down there? We don't know. New Horizons didn't stay long. It flew past Pluto at incredible speed, gathering data for just a few hours before continuing into the Kuiper Belt. But before it left, it looked back. It captured Pluto eclipsing the sun. And around the silhouette of darkness, there was a faint, glowing ring. Pluto has an atmosphere. Thin, fragile, blue. Layers of nitrogen haze scatter sunlight in a way that creates a soft blue halo, like Earth's sky but suspended over a frozen wasteland. For a brief moment, Pluto did not look like an exile. It looked alive. And it is not alone. Locked in a gravitational dance with Pluto is its largest moon, Charon. So large compared to Pluto that they orbit a point in space between them. Not planet and moon, but a binary system. They are tidally locked. If you stand on one hemisphere of Pluto, Charon never moves. It hangs motionless in the sky, massive and silent. On the other side of Pluto, you will never see it at all. Charon itself bears a dark red scar at its north pole, Mordor macula. That stain is made from gases that escaped Pluto's atmosphere, drifted across space, and froze onto the moon's surface. Two worlds sharing material. Two outcasts bound together. And beyond them, four smaller moons tumble chaotically through the dark. Nix, Hydra, Kerberos, and Styx, spinning unpredictably, remnants of an ancient collision. Pluto may have lost its title, but it did not lose its complexity. It has drifting mountains, a beating nitrogen heart, a possible underground ocean, red snow under a black sky, and a blue atmosphere glowing in the void. We called it small. We called it a dwarf. But Pluto does not care what we call it. It survives where sunlight is barely a memory. It rewrites geology in temperatures that would freeze steel. It holds on to heat in a place that should have gone cold billions of years ago. At the edge of the solar system, where we expected silence, we found motion. Where we expected death, we found change. And maybe that's the real lesson. The universe does not need our categories to be extraordinary. Pluto remains what it has always been, a world. And as strange as it is still gentle compared to what waits closer to the sun. Because if you leave the Kuiper Belt and move inward, the silence ends. It is replaced by a roar. A blue giant where winds scream at over 2,000 kilometers per hour and diamonds may fall from the sky. But that is a nightmare for another time. Keep looking up. Stay curious.